Pop quiz time. Now that I have your attention, go ahead and get a piece of scratch paper out and a pencil and be ready to write down your answers to the following questions. So the answer to number 1 is 1 3/10 times 2. It is definitely a decimal times a whole number because you see the first quantity is one color, and then the second quantity is added on additionally. So, and the green takes up 1 whole and 3/10, and then here is another group of 1 3/10. It looks different, but if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's 1 whole, and then 1, 2, 3/10 again. So that's 2 groups of 1 3/10. Did you get it right? I hope so. Okay, so for number 2, there's several answers to this one. The 2 that come to my mind, just by looking at the picture, I see that there's 4 groupings, and inside each group there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths and 4 hundredths. So one of the equations or expressions could be 4 times 0 and 54 hundredths. This could also be a division problem. So if you count up the total blocks, you will get 2 wholes, because 5 plus 5 tenths, that would be 10 tenths. That's 1 whole. And then 5 plus 5, again, would be 1 whole down here. And then you have 16 hundredths, 4, 8, 12, 16. So another expression would be 2 16 hundredths divided by 4, or divided into 4 groups. And there's a couple of other ones. Of course, you could do 2 16 hundredths divided by 0 and 54 hundredths. You could do it that way. So if you have another idea or something that I do not have here, then you can pause the video and you guys can talk about those. So the answer to number 3 is 45 hundredths. You have an area here going across of 0 and 5 tenths, and you have an area right here of 0 and 9 tenths. So, or you could individually count these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. So remember, when you multiply 2 decimals or a decimal times a decimal, in a model such as this grid, the overlapped portion is your product. So that would be 0 and 9/10 times 0 and 5/10, and that would be 45. You have 2 decimal places there, so you would move it 2 places, and there you go, 45/100. So for number 4, you have an area model here, and you can see this is the problem 1 and 7/10 times 1 and 5/10. And then you have 4 partial products here. 1, 7/10, 5/10, and 35/100. So this is kind of a box method like that you're used to, except for it's just 2 decimal numbers being multiplied. But you still multiply the 1 times the 1 times the 7/10, the 5/10 times the 1, and then the 5/10 times the 7/10. And so, like with any box method, once you have the partial products, then you add them all together to get your final product. So this one I wrote over here as a 1, and then I put the decimal in 2 zeros because I knew I was going to have some decimal numbers over here. Then this 7/10 is here, and I annexed a 0 just to fill in that hundredths place. The 5/10 is right here, and then the 35/100 is right here, and then I just added, and so your answer is 2 and 55/100 there. So hopefully you realize that this was a representation of a decimal number multiplied by a whole number, because again we have the different color blocked sections. The first section is 30 or 3/10, 36/100, and then 36/100 again and again and again. So 36/100 times 4 equals 1 whole, which is here, and 1, 2, 3, 44/100. So the equation here is 5/10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/10 times 3/10, 1, 2, 3/10 equals 15/100. And if you count these squares here, there's 15 of them. So a decimal number times a decimal number. Yes, this is a correct way to multiply these 2 decimal numbers. If we were to multiply here using the algorithm, we would eventually get all of these values one way or another. So let's look at this broken up like they did here. This right here, the 6/10 times the 5/10 is them multiplying this right here. So the 6/10 times the 5/10 right here. The 6/10 times the 9 is this right here, the 6/10 times the 9, which is a whole number. So just like we would multiply normally with the algorithm. And then 5 times 5/10. Here's your 5 times your 5/10. And then 5 times 9, that would be right here, 5 times 9. So then they would add all that up, and then they got the product of 53 and 2/10. So the divisor is 5 on this one because, as you can see, there's 5 groupings, and that's what a divisor is. It's usually the number of groups that you're dividing the total amount by. So the divisor is definitely 5. Bonus question, what is the equation? So to get the equation like the one we had before, a division equation requires you to have a total amount. So you would need to add all of these blocks up and get your total. And there's actually enough for 3 holes with 2,500ths left over. And we've already decided we were dividing by 5 or into 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in each group, there is 6/10 and 5/100 or 65/100, and that's your answer. So I hope you guys did well. If you didn't, you at least got to see 8 different representations. So hopefully the next time you see something like that, you'll do really well. Okay, so you have your scratch paper there with you. So let's move on to a 2-digit divisor. We're going to think of this problem just like we would think of this problem. 918 divided by 27, right? The only difference is this decimal point right here. So we can do this. It's a 3-digit dividend and a 2-digit divisor. So the first thing that I like to do is go ahead and move my decimal point up into the quotient, just so I don't forget. And then I'm going to ask myself, can I divide 9 by 27? In other words, if I have 9 cookies, can I share them with 27 people? No, that's not going to happen. I would have to break them into little tiny pieces. So now I'm going to move, well, actually I'm going to put a 0 there, because I cannot do that. And 0 times 27 is 0. Okay, I'm going to subtract that. That's 9. Now I'm going to bring down my 1. So now I'm going to ask myself, can I divide 91 by 27? Yes, I can. If I have 91 cookies and there's 27 people, I'm going to try to decide about how many cookies will each person get. And if I know my math facts, I estimate this to 30. So I'm going to round 27 to 30. I know that one group of 30 is obviously 30. 2 groups of 30, well, that's 60. And 3 groups of 30 is 90. And so this is the one that I want to probably try to use here. So I'm going to try for the 3 groups. Now keep in mind, 3 times 27 is going to be different than 3 times 30. This was my estimate. So I need to now figure out exactly what that is. So I'm going to kind of come over here and jot this down. 27 times 3, or 3 groups of 27. That is 81. So that will work. So I'm going to put my 81 down here. I'm going to subtract that. I'm going to have 10 left over. And I'm going to bring down my 8. And now I'm going to continue over here at my estimating. I could keep listing them one by one like this, right? Or I could skip a couple at this point, because I know my multiples of 3. And to get as close as possible to 108, I am thinking, let's see, 30 times 5. Oh, actually, I'm already there, aren't I? Yes, I am. Okay, so look, this will be too much. So I'm going to have to go back to my, actually, you know what? Let me try 4 groups. I'm going to try 4 groups over here. 27 times 4. Just because since this is an estimate and this is the real number, I'm thinking that will work. 27 times 4. So that would be, let's see here, that would be 28. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is, yep, that's exactly it. So even though my estimate was too high, the actual grouping of my divisor, that will work. So 4 groups of 27 is 108 exactly. Sorry about that. So my answer here is 3 4/10. Okay, 3 9/10 divided by 15. So again, we're just going to be thinking about this as something that we've done before, like 39 divided by 15. The only difference is your decimal here. So let's move that decimal right up there. And let's ask ourselves, if I have 3 cookies, can I give 15 people each one? No, that's not going to work. 0. And 0 groups of 15 is 0. Subtract, bring down my 9. So 39 divided by 15. Well, I know 15 minutes twice is 30 minutes. So that's as close as I'm going to get. So 2 groups of 15 is 30. And I'm going to subtract that. I have 9 left. So I'm going to come over here, since we are, working on this, we definitely want to annex a 0 here. So I'm going to annex my 0. And I'm going to bring it down. And notice I have not changed the value of this. 3 9/10 is equal to 3 90/100. So I'm not changing the value, I'm just going to help get a decimal quotient instead of a remainder. Okay, so 90 divided by 15. Well, I know 2 15s is 30. So if I double that, 4 15s, that's 60. And so 6 15s would be 90. So 6 15s is 90. Subtract that. And my answer is 26/100. Okay, for this one, I want you guys to try to do this one on your own. So if Mrs. Gerhardt will pause the video, give you a couple minutes to kind of work on that, and then you can play the video and see how your work matches up to mine. Okay, so here's what I've done so far. I cannot divide 3 by 88 or 39 by 88. So I'm looking at the whole dividend now. 396 divided by 88. I estimated 88 to be 90. 5 groups would be way too high. So I backed it up to 4 groups. That looks about right. So I'm going to come over here and multiply 88 times 4 groups. And that is 32 and 35. So that looks about right. So I'm going to do 4 groups, 352, subtract that. So I have 44 left over. So at this point I'm going to annex a 0. I'm going to put my, the biggest thing about when you have to annex a 0 and the decimal is to remembering to go ahead and put that decimal up in your quotient. And bring that down. Okay, so back up to this one that was too high earlier. That one looks to be right about where I need to be. So that's the one that I'm going to try here. 5 groups of 88. So 8 times 5 is 40. And 8 times 5 is 40. Yep, that's right on. So 5 groups is 440, and that's a 0. So my answer would be 4 5/10. Okay, now it's time for you guys to do some of these. I want you to do in the guided practice at the top, number 2. The independent practice, numbers 5, 6, 8, and 12. And if you have time, You are welcome to start working on the back, and yes, if you get finished before time is up, you need to do this. The problem solving questions 13, 15, and 16. Okay guys, that's it for today. Have a great Thursday, and I'll see you tomorrow.